If you are a tourist or a foreigner coming to Vietnam on business, you are often invited to eat pho or banh mi, two national dishes of Vietnam, and most foreigners think they are delicious dishes by holding out his hand with a sign of international significance. Great. In reality, the support rate is not so high because in this case politeness only allows us to express support rather than a word from the heart. Every nation has its own food, and as say an English proverb, one man's food is another man's poison. However, there is one drink that we believe has an absolutely high support rate and without any diplomacy aspect is Vietnamese coffee. I've hardly seen anyone criticize it as bad. They usually say, very delicious or excellent, but with a comment that says, too strong or too concentrated. Hello familiar viewers, in this episode Vietnam Facts and Figures will introduce to you the origin, how to prepare, how to enjoy, and through that you will understand why the title of this video clip is, Vietnamese coffee, the most delicious drink in the world. Few people know that even dishes like coffee, pho, or banh mi that are considered as national of Vietnam, all originate from distant France, but they have been modified to be more suitable to the climate and taste of Vietnamese people, and thanks to that, it became more famous. Just like modern football was born in England but became the king sport in Latin American countries. The biggest difference between Vietnamese coffee compared to other types of coffee is that Vietnamese coffee just is extracted from a tool called filter. This tool was brought to Vietnam in the 19th century following the footsteps of the French conquerors came to this Indochina peninsula. And it is surprising that over hundreds of years, it has hardly changed, except for the materials used to make it, such as aluminum being converted to stainless steel. However, coffee connoisseurs in Vietnam all believe that filters made of aluminum still produce better coffee than filters made of stainless steel. Few people know that Vietnam is the second largest coffee producer in the world after Brazil, and the person considered the king of Vietnamese coffee is the owner of the famous Trung Nguyen Coffee Company. He exported powdered coffee to America and opened the most luxurious coffee shops in Shanghai, China. Few people know that Vietnam is the second largest coffee producer in the world after Brazil, and the person considered the king of Vietnamese coffee is the owner of the famous Trung Nguyen Coffee Company. He exported powdered coffee to America and opened the most luxurious coffee shops in Shanghai, China. Coffee beans are divided into two main types. Arabica is also called tea coffee because it looks like a tea tree, and Robusta is called voi coffee because it resembles a voi, a local tree. Arabica coffee is more fragrant and sourer than Robusta coffee, and on the world market it is sold about 30 to 40% more expensive than Robusta coffee. Most coffee brands like Cappuccino or Starbucks use almost 100% Arabica coffee beans, while Vietnamese coffee is a blend of about 50% Arabica with 50% Robusta, or a variable ratio. A little bit like 40 to 60 or 30 to 70 depending on the restaurant and customer taste. How are coffee beans roasted? Coffee beans, after being dried and filtered to remove dust or impurities, are roasted for about 30 minutes or longer depending on the type. In addition to the taste of coffee, people often add butter, salt, and a little alcohol to make the coffee more fragrant and richer in taste. Depending on the roasting time, coffee beans have different colors. People are divided into 4 to 7 different levels from light to dark. The darker the color, the more bitter the coffee tastes. Europeans often like light colors, while Vietnamese people like dark colors. To give each brand of coffee a unique smell, people can add flavoring agents, such as the smell of ripe apples or lavender. Instead of using butter, people can also use chicken fat. However, Europeans still prefer to use butter. After roasting and mixing with butter, coffee needs to be left in a covered container or sealed bag for 1 to 2 days for the reactions to take place completely before use. After roasting, people must grind coffee into powder. There are many machines that can grind coffee ranging in price from $20 to $100. Put 2 spoons of coffee powder into the filter. If there are more people, you can add up to 4 spoons. Pour some hot water into the filter's cap. Leave the filter on the lid for 1 minute. Pour a little hot water at 80 to 90 degrees Celsius into the ground coffee in the filter, just enough water to wet the ground coffee. Place the filter pad over the rim of the cup. Then place the whole filter on top of the filter pad. Place the lid on top of the coffee powder. Pour hot water over the lid so that the amount of water is about 2 centimeters higher than the lid. Place the second cap on top of the filter. Wait about 5 minutes for the juice to flow into the cup. Add enough sugar to your coffee if you want to drink black coffee. Add milk if you want milk coffee. Vietnamese people often add sweetened condensed milk, not fresh milk like the British. Famous American chef Anthony Bourdain, who guided President Barack Obama to eat Vietnamese bun cha, rice noodle with grills pork, at a popular restaurant in Hanoi during his official visit in 2016, also visited coffee processing facilities of Vietnam and enjoyed this drink. He thinks it is one of the best coffees in the world, yet it is 10 times stronger than the coffee he drinks in America. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also enjoyed egg coffee at a coffee shop in Hanoi and said he liked it very much. A person considered a sophisticated coffee drinker is usually a middle-aged man, about 40 years old or older. He is a bit skinny and has a worried face. He sat alone in a coffee shop. Drinking coffee is enjoying sadness. He orders a cup of filter coffee, usually drinking it hot and leaving the sugar separate, not mixed into the coffee. He waited for each drop of coffee to fall on the bottom of the cup. He took a deep breath of the fragrant smell of coffee. The first sip can be unsweetened and kept in the mouth for a long time to feel the bitter taste of life. From the second sip he can add sugar but very little. And he sat there for a long time, alone and rarely paying attention to anything around him. A coffee shop is a place where people go to find solitude, it is not a football field.